At Maximum Mediocrity, people say things like,
I don't dress like this on the regular basis. This isn't my, pooping uniform. This is not what I wear.
and they also say things like,
The nurses are usually either angels of mercy or whores.
every episode is a new experience where you get to know people that aren't famous but should be.
Why did my facing Floyd Mayweather in the woods?
My co-host Morgan and I track down the people you didn't know you needed to hear from.
It's like hot sex in a mug.
We are the Maximum Mediocrity Podcast, and we are on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be waiting for you.
Well, there's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and everybody's gonna spread the holiday cheer. 'Cause it's Christmas. Oh, it's the best time of the year. Let's do fake rain.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
So, given that I had to snooze you on Facebook because you were making some posts that were getting dangerously close to spoiler
Dangerously
territory,
close to spoilers. Have you seen it yet?
I have seen it by now, but I
Okay,
was
cool.
like, I can't take the risk. I wasn't going to be able to see it until Monday,
Okay.
and by Friday, I was already like, oof, he's
I think
playing
I've
with
kept
fire.
it- I think I've kept it. I've kept it. Okay, so let's just get
There
this out of
was
the
too
way.
much. There was too much of a chance.
No.
that-
I totally understand. Let's be clear. Okay, so if you're listening to this by now, you know what the title is. That we are covering Iron Man 3. Just assume that all bets are off for Marvel spoilers for this episode.
across the board. Yes.
Just across the board, because I was gonna come into this and be like, spoilers for Iron Man 3, duh, you should have seen it by now if you were interested, but also definitely spoilers for Shang-Chi as well. But yeah, dude, let's fuck it across the board. I don't want anybody getting pissed. We're going to spoil everything.
Yeah, we might even dabble into Doctor Strange. There's really not much
Yes.
of a Christmas tie-in, and
No.
I'll be very upfront.
Yeah, so fuck
Didn't
you.
hate it,
Oh,
but I didn't love
Oh,
it either. I
loved
look.
it.
So here's all I'm gonna say.
Okay,
I liked it a lot
okay,
for a movie that
Yes.
was called Multiverse of Madness.
yes.
It really only had one other multiverse and not that much madness.
Which it was a lot of fucking madness. This is
like,
as mad as the fucking Marvel versus God.
Look,
Just let Sam Raimi make every movie.
I'm fine. I'm
in
fine
the
with that. But
fucking
listen,
Marvel universe
and I know that this movie. I think that I want to see the Sam Raimi director's cut. I know
Yeah,
that
me
he made a
too.
3-hour version and Marvel
Yeah.
trimmed it down. And I just started to feel exhausted because I felt like it was fight scene after fight scene after fight scene, which were fine, but they weren't really that dramatically different as the fight scenes went on after a while.
Mm.
And I just want it to exist in. I don't know, man. Don't fucking introduce me to the fact that there's cartoon and multiverses where
And
you're
we
made
flipped through
entirely.
that shit.
Yeah, that you're
Made
made entirely
entirely
of paint, and then you're gonna put me in the multiverse that's the closest to the verse that you already exist in. Like that felt like a real fucking upsetting cop out.
Okay,
I just wanted
get
it.
I get
You know what
it.
I mean? Like I just wanted. I felt like for a movie called The Multiverse of Madness, we could have been pushed into so many crazier situations than like, woohoo, the green light means red here. Like,
Yeah.
I
get it. I get it. So
still
okay.
I still liked it. Like, I'm saying that I enjoyed it,
Okay.
but like the people who are like best Marvel movie
It's my
that's ever
favorite.
been made.
It's my favorite Marvel movie.
I
hands
but I
down.
think that there's a recency bias. I think
So I don't think so, dude, because I really didn't like Eternals when that came out.
No, I mean, but like, there's a difference. This is an acceptable movie.
Okay. but also, I don't know, man. I don't remember coming out of everything. So my thoughts with Multiverse of Madness, I loved the way it was shot. I loved that they basically let like Raimi
it's
take
like-
the gloves off.
It's like an Evil Dead 4.
Exactly. Like
I'm
that's what
fine
it
with all-
is,
yeah.
man. And I'm
I'm
like,
fine with all that. I just want it more like imagine. This is the problem that happens when you're like
you
writing
are already fucking getting into it.
I know, but like this is what happens when you're writing a movie in your brain
Uh-huh.
quicker than the movie
Yep.
can happen. So they entered this first multiverse. And
Are
I
you
was
talking
like,
about the
all right.
very beginning, like with
Well,
the with
no. I'm
long-haired
talking like
Strange?
when Doctor Strange goes to the place where we end up spending the next hour of the movie.
Okay, yeah,
I was like, all right, this is fun. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure they're gonna zap to another multiverse in a couple minutes because what I wanted almost immediately was like, dude, I want like 10 Bruce Campbell cameos in 10 different multiverses. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I really thought that we were building towards something like that because I was like, all right, I mean, this is kind of close to like the version of the world that they're already in with like character tweaks, but like the world looks kind of similar. So like I'm sure this is just building us up for when it gets weirder. And again, plot beats was totally fine. Love all the we're not I refuse to let us spoil the cameos beyond. I mean, I said Bruce Campbell, but it's a Sam Raimi movie. You know he's going to be there somewhere. We won't talk about like the other stuff that comes in.
So here's my thing with those though, is like, so I saw like the first trailer for this movie and then didn't actively avoid things, but I didn't actively explore trailers as well. And from what I heard from the people I went with, like a lot of those cameos were already spoiled, like in trailers.
So I avoided every trailer.
Okay.
To the best of my I will not. I flat out will not watch Marvel trailers.
Okay.
I just won't do it. Like
Yeah.
even if I'm in a movie theater and a Marvel trailer starts, I keep my phone on during the trailers so that I can like look at my phone during the Marvel trailers because not that they're like horrendous with it, but like for a company that probably has so much deleted scenes and B-side footage that they can make a full trailer out of so that you're not seeing a single frame of what makes it into the actual movie.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They do show too much. And like, to me, I don't have I do have a problem if they show spoilers, but like as someone who is a pre-pandemic, a very frequent moviegoer.
Yeah.
So someone who sees the same couple trailers multiple times, that can be really detrimental when you're like, well, I know that this scene hasn't happened yet, and thus like you can piece together the movie strictly just based on what you haven't seen yet from what you have seen in the trailer. I remember I got annoyed at the movie Tag, which I think is a very good movie. It's a very fun movie. But the trailer, I was like 5 minutes into the movie when I realized, holy fuck, the trailer is going to be the final scene of this movie. Yeah. And sure enough, it was. And I was like, why would you do that?
I don't know.
Why would you take the last scene of this movie and make it your trailer? Like, that is crazy to me. So ever since then, I've just been kind of like, I'm just going to keep my eyes down. I'll listen. I'll hear some things maybe, but like,
I think the main argument you've made is like, if this movie would have been called anything else, you would have
kind of, yeah. And
because
again,
honestly, so my biggest thing, especially with modern Marvel, like ever since like maybe Endgame, everybody is just wanting to see who shows up in the next one. Who they don't care how the movie is. Everybody just wants to see who shows up in the next one. And I think that's the problem that I've seen a lot of people say with Moon Knight, where they're like, well, nothing really happened. Okay, so the same thing with this one. Oh, well, Iron Man, Tom Cruise was supposed to be showing up as Iron Man. That's something you made up in your fucking head. Not but people on the internet. Like, that's that. You cannot be mad that the movie you created in your mind is not the movie that they made. In my opinion, this was as close to a Sam Raimi horror Marvel movie that Kevin Feige will ever let be made.
100%.
Like seriously.
And keep in mind, when I went and gave this movie a star rating, I gave it 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
I'm not
I know
yeah.
you don't hate it. This is more me saying, because there are people right now saying that this is the worst Marvel movie ever made, and it doesn't make
pure chaos.
any fucking sense to me.
So here's the thing that I'm noticing, though, as I
Yeah.
pulled up the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and listeners, I promise we're going to get to Iron Man 3 in just a hot second, actually. But like, I love the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I love watching the
Me too.
Marvel shows. I even when I am reading comics, which currently I'm on like a decade-long lull from reading comics, but when I am reading comics, I primarily am reading Marvel and
Marvel
Image.
comics.
Like,
yeah.
like that is my shit. But I'm looking at this list of the cinematic universe, and I feel like, and I know this is different than you, but
Yeah.
for me, I'm someone who pretty much watches every single one of them.
Yeah.
For the most part, enjoys every single one of them. There are the outliers here and there, but like, they're not movies that I'm passionate about. Like, the people who are like, "Oh, new Marvel movies coming out. I gotta start at Iron Man and rewatch like all like 30 of these movies to get." Yeah, like, I just can't do that. I just don't. I'm not that emotionally connected. So like, when I look at these, it's like I really like Captain America: the first Avenger.
Yeah, the movie fucking rules.
I think that's a beautiful movie. Love the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
Really like Civil War. Really like all the Spider-Man movies that they did. Like Thor Ragnarok. Like, and then and then it's kind of like, and then the rest. Like, I don't hate any of them, but like, I very rarely am like, if I'm gonna pick something to watch, if I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna watch something, the Marvel movies aren't even
Really?
like on my radar. And I think and watching Iron Man 3 is a prime example of why, is that I get why you have to start at the beginning.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I remember Iron Man 3, and then I'm like, I feel like I am forgetting so much important information to be watching Iron Man 3 right now.
So like, my thought process heading into the Marvel movies, and I was actually having this conversation with my good friend Dan, who went with us to see him and his wife Kelly went with us to see Doctor Strange 2, and he is day one. Like, why did we wait till Saturday to see Doctor Strange 2? Like, we needed to go before. He is collecting comics still. Like, more power to him, because holy shit, that is an expensive fucking hobby.
Yes, it is. That's why I haven't done it for a decade.
So he basically said to me, he's like, I feel about Marvel movies the way you feel about Star Wars to me. And I'm like, okay. He's like, even the worst Marvel movie is still set in a universe that I love.
Yes.
So I still love it. And I get that. And you know what? I said the thing that took me out of Star Wars, and I just shared an article about this the other day. The thing that took me out of Star Wars was the toxic fan base.
Yeah,
Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
And I stopped. I didn't watch Book of Boba Fett. I struggled to finish Mando, not because it's bad, but because I was just so tired of the fucking discourse behind it.
But you are actually you it's weird for me to be saying this as the guy who like co-runs Geekscape, but you interact with the discourse way more than I do.
I do. And I wish I need to just learn to just pull myself away from it.
Yeah,
but
I just stay away from it.
The thing that got me back into Star Wars, funny enough, was this recent Skywalker Saga Lego game. That came out, and I'm just I turned my brain off and I'm playing through all the movies, and I absolutely love it. Marvel, the from my side, same thing ended up with that. I loved up to Endgame, and then everything after Endgame has been kind of like, okay, that's like a sweet little bonus. I liked Far From Home. I liked Far From Home. And then that discourse started up again. And started happening with the Marvel movies. I loved WandaVision.
I think
WandaVision rules.
WandaVision is my number one Marvel anything.
That's funny
It is-
because that's
it is-
Dan's. That's my buddy Dan's as
That's
well.
my apps. I think it is brilliantly made. I think it is
Yeah.
wonderfully paced. I love the parody aspect of it. Like,
Yeah.
I think that WandaVision is a masterpiece, and I think it's one of those things that had mixed opinion by the
Yeah.
time it was over, but 10,
That was
15
another one though. That was
Yeah.
another one that
People built it up in
hated
their
because
head
they
that-
built up in their head that fucking Quicksilver's back.
Mephisto,
Yep, we're doing X-Men, and it's like, no, like just let it fucking play out. And my thing is like after that was Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. I had fun with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I thought like that show got brutal at certain points, and it was fun to watch, but like the amount of people that said they hated it,
Yeah.
I didn't understand. I was like, it's okay, it's all right.
So
And
here's
that-
my weird pitch.
Yeah.
And I may have even made this pitch on this
Yeah.
very show.
Yeah.
But Falcon the Winter Soldier should have been a movie. Shang-Chi should have been a show.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah,
we did talk about that.
Because I think that the pacing of Shang-Chi, when I watched Shang-Chi even in theaters, I was like, and there's the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then,
there's
like,
a bunch of beats. It's a travel movie too. Like they're constantly moving
just-
from location to location to location.
and I think that it would have helped because I like Shang-Chi a lot.
Oh, I
But
loved Shang-Chi.
I think that it has a pacing issue in the sense of if you had been given 5 to 6 hours to let
Yeah.
character beats breathe a little bit more,
yeah.
it wouldn't feel like and then where like I want it to be more emotional about the final shot, like the final sequence of the movie, but I also felt
Yeah.
like I was being forced to be emotional about information that was also just handed to me like 10 minutes
Yeah.
earlier, where it's like, but if that was a TV show and like that information was in episode 3 and then we get to that
Yeah.
in episode 6, it would have worked and the tears would have been like flooding out of my face.
Yeah.
Whereas like Falcon the Winter Soldier, I felt like didn't know what to do with the 5 hours that it was allocated
I
and like
agree.
meandered
I don't need to
a
see
whole
this
bunch.
dude on the fucking boat, man.
Yeah,
Like,
you know what I mean?
I don't give a shit.
I-
So Falcon and the
Yeah.
Winter Soldier happened, and much the discourse of that kind of pulled me away from the Marvel stuff. I never finished Hawkeye. I never finished Hawkeye.
See, and I
I
liked
did it-
Hawkeye because it was basically, again, we're going to bring it up with this, but Hawkeye felt like a Shane Black TV series,
Yeah.
and I was all in for it.
And I didn't watch Loki. And these are not like, this isn't me saying fuck that shit. This is me saying I didn't want to participate
In the conversation.
And I just was sick of hearing about it because everybody just started like everybody turned heel against Marvel for a little bit there, and I think that's still happening. And I saw I finally watched Shang-Chi once it came to Disney Plus, and I loved Shang-Chi. We started Eternals. I think Teddy finished it. I wasn't that into Eternals, but I
Eternals
didn't
is
think
rough.
it just
it-
felt like a fucking drag in the beginning, and I
That's
just couldn't-
another and Eternals is why we didn't get a 3-hour Doctor Strange, because somewhere they were like, oh well, that's why this movie didn't work out, was because it was 3 hours. And I was like, well, yes, but it also was 3 hours without needing to be 3 hours.
Exactly.
Where like I would believe that this Doctor Strange movie could use 3 hours. Like
yes.
it as much as this is like it moves, like Doctor Strange moves. I kind of could have used it slowing down a bit. Honestly.
So
Like,
and then No Way Home, the hype train behind No Way Home, I liked No Way Home. I really did. I really did like No Way Home. I thought it was a cool, like, tugging at your nostalgia heartstrings, like, hey, remember this? Remember this guy? It was very member berries, and that's what I kept seeing with it. And I think TikTok showed it best, as I saw a TikTok was sent to one of our group chats where it's like, wow, watching the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire thing show up when you're not in a crowd full of people is actually really awkward. Like they show up in the kitchen and they're just sitting there. It's like taking the laugh track out of Big Bang Theory.
yeah,
And
because it's all holding for applause essentially. Like
Exactly.
it's like so I'm gonna quote my friend Ashley Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hold her in very high esteem. One of the best commentators of geek culture with her podcast Geek History Lesson.
Okay.
And she said the following statement, and I agree with her to a certain extent. It was specifically about No Way Home.
Yeah.
But I've heard her say this with pretty much anything Phase 3 and beyond.
Yeah.
These aren't movies. And and what she means by that, she's not saying that in the shitty like Martin Scorsese kind of way, but she goes, they don't function like a movie. Like a movie should not come with a 15-year homework assignment in order to get the same level of enjoyment
Yeah.
as someone coming in at the base level. Like that's not fair. And a lot of these movies is basically like you're just getting a 3-hour act 3
Well, that's
and
the thing.
being told
These
that
are
it's a movie.
so comic book movies at some point became comic book
Yeah.
like movies. Like that's what they became. Like they, instead of being movies based on comic books, they became basically the comic book version of movies, where you do have to do kind of your homework, and there's an audience for that, obviously because these
but
things are still selling out. And
what you can't do in the movie that the comic book allows you to do is put that little pound sign next to a sentence that says, for more
God,
information,
that'd be
check out this
awesome.
movie.
Yeah. So there's a problem with that. No Way Home, like I said, I liked it. My theory is it was Sony's way of pulling Spider-Man out of the MCU
Probably.
for a little bit. Of course, we know he needs to go into the fucking Morbius verse.
So, side note, I just listened to one of my favorite podcasts, The Flop House.
Yeah.
And they did Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
It's okay. I mean, it's not good,
But they were talking about the bumper and how, like, the post-credits bumper is them showing up in New York as Jonah Jameson, or them showing up on an island as Jonah Jameson on the TV is announcing who Spider-Man is. And they're like, man, talk about a post-credits bumper that loses all of its luster after you then watch the Spider-Man movie that it was leading up to and realize that Eddie Brock just got drunk on an island from that point until the end.
And the post-credits bumper of that is just him getting like, I think it's him getting sucked back to his universe. It's so fucking stupid.
And it's the most anticlimactic bumper segment in history.
And I think it's
retrospectively.
I think it's clear that like that is Sony. Like that's Sony doing this. So I'm curious where that goes next. Spider-Man specifically, not really. Venom. The first Venom was okay. They really did fuck over my boy Carnage in the second one. But it was okay. I didn't see Morbius, and I don't plan on seeing Morbius until it's free.
All right. So all of this
22 minutes in, Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, a movie that I still frequently hear people refer to as one of the worst in the MCU, and I have never seen it that way. Do I think it's the best? Not by a mile, but I didn't. Even watching it this time, I'm like, this isn't egregious by any stretch of the imagination.
In a series of movies that include Thor and
Thor 2.
Thor 2. The Eternals.
Even you know what? I'll even throw this out there. Not that I hate this movie,
I'll
but like Iron Man 3, I think is better than the Incredible Hulk. But you know, like I also don't get the hatred that people will throw onto Age of Ultron too much. Like I know that's
like
one
Age
that
of
ranks,
Ultron.
Yeah, that one ranks real low.
That was a real weird period of Marvel, because like I feel like what you were just saying, where Eternals didn't have to be 3 hours, I feel like the build to Thanos didn't have to be as long as it was.
Oh, you
and
mean
I feel like at the end of every movie we just saw Thanos like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm actually doing it this
time.
It
was, let's see, what was this build? I just want to see out of curiosity. It was a 10-year build until Thanos actually fucking showed up from Iron Man to Infinity War. That's way too much of a build.
That's crazy. But that was, I think everybody just knew like we were at a middle point. Like we weren't going to see Thanos yet. Like, because I think by the time we saw Age of Ultron and Iron Man 3, like we finally like I think that was that around the time where Kevin Feige was like, here's the timeline. Like, here's where we're going.
I'm confused, and maybe
Yeah.
you can explain this to me.
Yeah, what's up?
I understand. So phase 1,
Yes.
right, is the Avengers assemble, essentially, right? It's
Um,
all the movies
Yeah.
leading to the
let me-
Avengers.
I'm going to pull it up.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. It's
Okay.
Iron Man, it's Incredible Hulk, it's Iron Man 2, it's Thor, it's Captain America First Avenger, and then Avengers,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
I'm going to skip over phase 2 for a second. Phase 3 starts with Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Homecoming, Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man Wasp, Captain Marvel, Endgame, Far From Home.
Okay.
And like, I get that. That's like basically the like Thanos story and some of the ramifications of Thanos. And now we're in phase 4, which is very like multiverse heavy.
Yeah.
What is phase 2 exactly? Because
Like
the
I
collection
said,
of phase 2
is
is
very much
Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man. I just don't know what the connective through line is that makes that separate from just the part of phase 3, essentially.
I almost feel like if Civil War was phase 2 would make more sense.
I agree. I just don't get, like, let me see if I can.
There isn't. There's like this weird, like Iron Man 3 standalone, Thor Dark World standalone, Winter Soldier kind of standalone, but we do see the deconstruction of Shield. Guardians of the Galaxy standalone. Age of Ultron, that's that you're getting Vision, basically. That's where
Yeah.
you're getting Vision, you're getting Wanda, and you're fucking over my boy Pietro.
Yeah.
God, I really
And then
wish
Ant-Man.
Aaron Johnson would have returned as Pietro. Yeah, and then Ant-Man. It is the phase 2 is very much 6 movies that are by themselves. I forgot that Iron Man 3 was the first movie
It's the kickoff to
after
it.
the Avengers.
Which I get. It's like this movie makes sense as the first movie after the Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's dealing with like all of the questions that are running through, which it's so funny to think about now. Like in Iron Man 3, Tony Stark is just grappled with the concept of like aliens, basically.
Yeah.
And now here we are, and we're just like jumping through different universes,
guess
and no
what?
one gives
There's
a shit.
fucking aliens, bitch, and also time travel. And there's a world where you're just fucking paint. And
Yeah,
guess what? Doctor Strange is a fucking zombie. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's insane.
Tony Stark is literally having a mental breakdown in this movie because he went to space.
Yeah. Yeah. Congrats. You're going through the same thing that Buzz Aldrin went through.
Yeah. Like he Meanwhile, like what in Infinity War, like he's just like, I guess I'm going to space, and just,
Yeah, like he got over that shit real fast over a 3-year
someone
period.
on an outside, like a outer space planet, some shit.
Yeah, it's wild. And my only note, because I did get kind of sucked in and then forgot to write down notes. My very first note is, oh shit, are we recording One Hit Thunder because we're kicking this shit off with Eiffel 65? Like,
Yeah, it is. I do love that the opening, the taking it back to 99, where we do meet Killian.
I was like halfway through this movie before I was like, oh, this isn't the one with Sam Rockwell. Like I'm like,
yeah, that's part 2. Part
Yeah.
2 gets a lot of hate too.
I
it's
honestly would
awful.
put this over part 2.
Oh, this is way better than part 2, but I don't think part 2 is as bad as people say it is. But I get it.
Part 2, I hear a lot more people praise part 2 than I hear people praise
Really?
part 3, which
So
is wild.
I always see people talk about Iron Man 3 in 2 ways. They either fucking hate it or they fucking love it. And I fall more towards the loving camp.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. It's very middle of the road. It's very Tony Stark dealing with the fact that he's not the center of the universe, which is something that I feel like he had always dealt with. And rewatching, because I am that fucking person who came home from Doctor Strange and put in Iron Man 1. Rewatching Iron Man 1, like he's always been this character who is scared of his full potential of being a good person and being a good human being. And I think that scares him overall, and kind of handing responsibility to other people as well. Like he has to be that savior, which is why he just goes on fucking TV and tells the terrorist group his address.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think a lot of people disliked this one because we got the Mandarin fake out. Everybody thought we were going to get the Mandarin in this movie, and we didn't quite get that. What happened, for those of you who do not remember this movie, is we get what's his name, Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery, a British actor playing the Mandarin, the fake
the role
Mandarin,
of Mandarin,
who is leading the 10 Rings. And this is why I said specifically Shang-Chi spoilers. The 10 Rings come back up, and so does Trevor. So does that actor, the Ben Kingsley's,
and
character,
frankly
and steals
the
fucking show in that
Yeah.
movie for sure, and choose some pretty good scenery up in this one as well. But yeah, we really find out that honestly, it's this movie's villain is just a jealous ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is I mean, I get it. That is a bit of a wet fart of a reveal.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
And I've heard someone say this about, and I'm just going to start thinking about this for everything, but
Yeah.
someone once described horror movies as very similar to wrestling matches
Yeah.
in the sense of a wrestling match or a horror film that has a good beginning and end, but a shitty middle. People will like more than a horror movie or wrestling match that has an amazing middle but ends poorly.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of happened with this Marvel movie. I think that people were enjoying this movie more than they thought they were until that reveal came up, and then they were like, "Fuck this movie!"
Yeah.
And then that was the only thing in their brain for the rest of the movie, and
I
then left
agree.
being like, "I hate this."
And it's unfortunate because I think Guy Ritchie kills it as that character. I feel the same way about that character as I do what's his face in the Nightmare remake. Jackie Earle Haley.
Yeah, he's not the
he
problem.
Fucking killed it in that movie, but the movie itself.
Yeah, the script is the problem. At that
and
point.
that's kind of the same.
And Guy
thing
Pearce.
here.
You said Guy Ritchie, who's
Guy Ritchie. Sorry, Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce, not Guy Ritchie. Guy Pearce. My bad. Yeah, I do think the final fight is pretty cool towards the end here. I do like the different Iron Man suits flying around. Guys, the reason we're talking about this is it does take place around Christmas, and there's a big ass fucking Christmas tree in it.
So this is the other thing that's worth examining is I think that Kevin Feige, am I pronouncing that correctly?
I
Feige,
think
Feige?
so. I don't know. I've
Whatever it
pronounced
is.
different ways already
But
on this show.
But I feel like this dude has been trying so hard to make the definitive Marvel Christmas property.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't worked out. You know, like Iron Man 3, I just don't ever see it being a Christmas classic to anybody. I thought that Hawkeye was great with how it leaned into Christmas time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit down and watch that every December. Like, there's no way. And then, like, even like Spider-Man No Way From Home, I feel like they tried to lean into the fact that it was a December release, but like, I don't think about that as a Christmas movie at all. Like, yeah, that was like a late November, early December.
Yeah, but
release.
was there Christmas stuff in that?
I feel like it's snowy throughout the streets
Okay.
of New
All
York.
right,
You know what I
I'm
mean? Like,
for it. Yeah.
it's just I think that's the fucking one thing that he's been trying to get is like that Marvel film that will become a timeless Christmas classic to people. And I got a spoiler alert for you, Kevin. It can't be this type of bullshit where you need to watch the other movies to understand it. Like you need to step away from the MCU just a tad and do like a standalone thing that takes place at Christmas
Dude,
time.
like or like Doctor Strange Saves Santa.
Yeah.
Or like
Oh,
there's a multiverse.
There's a Christmas multiverse.
The Christmas Christmas multiverse, dude. And we do it. And we bring in all the different people who have played fucking Santa Claus over the years,
Oh my God.
dude.
Kevin,
And we bring
call us. Call us. Geekscape is building a production
Dude.
company. We'll help you out. We got this.
and there's like one Santa missing, and it's Tim Allen because he's a fucking prick. So we
Yep.
don't bring him in.
we just
but
bring the
in-
Robo version of him from part 2.
Exactly, dude.
And
I'm
that's the
fucking
villain.
for it. Yeah, I mean, and he brought in the perfect person for it. We've talked about it already. Shane Black, who has just as much of a boner for Christmas as we do.
Yeah, let me take a look at this. I'm curious of Shane Black's filmography. How many are Christmas movies? Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
Monster Squad? No.
No.
Lethal Weapon. That doesn't really count. He just came up with the story. Last Boy Scout is not because it's tied to football.
Yeah.
Last Action Hero, no. Long Kiss Goodnight, yes.
Yes.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, yes.
Yes.
Iron Man 3, yes.
Yes.
The Nice Guys?
I didn't see it.
But then the newest Predator, I'm pretty sure, is also at
It's
Christmas.
set during Christmas.
I can't remember. Whatever. But yeah, Shane Black fucking loves Christmas, and I'm all
He
for it.
does. I'm for it, man.
I really thought that Hawkeye was him. Like, I thought that he had written and directed it because it just felt so much
I
like
see
a
the
Shane Black
similarities.
Christmas action movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it hit the comedy beats, it hit the Christmas beats, and it hit his pacing beats. Like,
This movie, Iron Man 3, is very much, hey, this is an MCU movie that just so happens to take place at Christmas.
it's
like,
not-
you'll see stuff in the background that's Christmas. But I do like it. I enjoy it.
For how Christmassy we have gotten in some of the things before and even some of the stuff after, this is definitely like this is a nice little lull in the spring,
so more
summer
Christmassy
range.
than Scream.
For sure. I'm just talking
And
about like
and less Christmassy than Charlie Brown's Christmas.
yes, but like I'm just talking about like stuff that we've released in the recent.
Done recently.
Yeah, like we
dude,
did
we
that
just had
Doug.
some heavy fucking hitters the past
we
couple
did
weeks.
the Reliant K. We did the SNL sketches. We
We're
did the
definitely
Doug
hitting-
episode.
Yeah, we're definitely
Like-
pulling the brakes on Christmas a little bit with this one, and dare I say next week as well. Putting the
It's
brakes
not-
on it a little bit.
We'll get there. We'll get there
We'll
next
get
week.
yeah.
It's not a perfect Christmas thing, but it's definitely got the season.
Oh
locked
yeah,
down.
it definitely does. Iron Man 3, yay, didn't make me cry. Doesn't exactly put me in the Christmas spirit, but if I did have to watch, if somebody was like, pick a Marvel movie to watch this holiday, I'd probably watch Infinity War and then Endgame. But you can watch Iron Man 3.
Yeah, it's an option. It's not bad.
It's not a bad movie.
None of these movies are bad.
No,
like Marvel movies are like pizza. Like
Yeah.
even the worst pizza is still fucking pizza.
yeah,
But sometimes that pizza's the Eternals, and sometimes that pizza's Winter
It's true.
Soldier. So
Yeah.
like, which ironically, not a Christmas movie.
ironically, not a Christmas movie. You are correct. You are absolutely correct. I fucking love Winter Soldier. God, dude, I could sit here and talk Marvel movies all day, which is I do apologize for taking up 22 minutes of
Look,
this
the
show.
second you picked Iron Man 3, I'm like, so we're doing a Doctor Strange episode. Got it. I know how you work.
I know you do. I like to stay topical, man. Nobody wants to talk about Iron Man 3.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas season in the background of a movie, Dylan.
Merry Christmas season in the background of a movie to you too, Matt.
Oh, whoa, oh, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holly, have a great holly, have a merry happy holiday.
Hey, do you have an idea for a podcast but don't know where to start? Or do you have an already existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Well, check out WeKnowPodcasting.com. From concept development to theme music to editing to logos, WeKnowPodcasting.com is a one-stop shop for all things pod. Don't hesitate to hit us up. We're very nice.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.